There's an issue in our country that has been gradually accumulating and now equals about 133 billion pounds every year. Its name is food waste. Now, let me know if this makes sense to you. There are nearly 800 million people suffering from hunger worldwide, and about 1 billion people suffering from overnutrition. It is further estimated that 29 million people die every year worldwide because of overeating, while 93 million die of hunger. So, how has it come to be that we waste nearly 40% of our total good food? Well, human production leads to a variety of economic, environmental, and social implications. We are all connected through the food chain, from farmers to distributors, traders, processors, and retailers, down to consumers and disposers. So when you hear phrases like from farm to table, it is inherently referencing our complex food system and the connection between all of us. Now, by looking deeper into the American food chain, we can determine where along the line 1.3 billion tons of food ultimately goes to waste. On the biggest level, industry providers waste about 25% of our food sources. Farmers have a hard time selling out all of their harvest and many times need to turn over their fields without reaping any crops. If the food makes it through transportation and processing without being ruined or falling on the ground, which makes up a solid 15%, it often goes to waste because our supermarkets are always trying to sell the best food and therefore overbuy and throw away much of what doesn't sell. But let's take a step back to the very start. A large portion of food waste occurs right off the bat in our food chain. American farmers, among others in developing nations, struggle with not being able to sell their entire harvest, mainly thanks to politics. In 2017, the US government rolled out an aid program of around $12 billion to help farmers absorb the cost of the soybean trade war with China. According to the US Department of Agriculture, this is just one example of ways that governments are not allowing farmers to sell their own crops. Now, here in the US, food waste on the farm is still less of an issue compared to the losses that occur in the retail, food service, and domestic links in our chain. People are inherently scared of sell-by and best-by dates on groceries, and so grocers end up throwing away pretty much all of their unsold food. They even waste silly things, like throwing away a whole carton of eggs because one of them is cracked. It's additionally clear that there is a disconnect between shoppers and the food we are buying. Simple education on what counts as expired is lacking, and much of that goes into the 8% that gets wasted on retail. The next most prevalent food wasters are those that provide it to us fresh, every day, just how we like it. Our restaurants and food services. Restaurants especially are prone to stocking way too much food in order to not have a chance at running out of anything, and throw away pretty much everything that doesn't get sold. We rarely consider what happens to a meal when we might send it back if it's not right, or all of the food in the kitchen that was unpackaged but didn't get sold that week. In truth, around 85% of food that isn't sold in restaurants gets completely wasted, which adds up to our next 16%. We do a similar thing at home, albeit not on the same scale, but household to household, we waste around $1,500 to $2,000 a year on perfectly good food. And I'm not talking about a quesadilla that you made last night and only ate half of. I mean the eggs we didn't cook for a month, or the carrots that we let go bad in the back of the vegetable drawer. When we put under our microscope the final link in our food chain, which is us, we can see much of the fundamental reason why most of this waste happens. We're allowed to be picky. That's the simple truth. When we shop, we only pick out the best fruits and vegetables, and we are constantly battling to keep our refrigerators full. So we can blame supermarkets and food retailers, but we essentially are the root cause of their problems as well. We are the last 50% of the problem. Since refrigerators started selling at the consumer level in 1913, they have been gradually increasing in size and are now 30% bigger than they were then. Our dinner plates has also increased in size along with them by about 18%. And we feel this strong necessity to keep it all full, like we're afraid to see white space on the shelves or on our plates. We're also prone to avoiding those food items in grocery stores with blemishes or bruises, giving many of those grocers no choice but to find something else to do with their food, where it usually ends up in the dumpster. So this is one of the largest human problems, and we have created it completely for ourselves. We successfully throw away a full football stadium filled to the brim with food every single day in America. As you can begin to see where along the line of our food chain we are being wasteful, it becomes sort of obvious that much of the cause of food waste comes down to consumerism and our own individual choices. Hopefully you're all inspired to look further into this issue and see that changing the way we perceive our food system is fundamental in eliminating this expensive, pretty dumb problem.